Today we're going to be talking about equations of lines. Equations of lines. What did we do last? Slope? Yeah, we did slope and we did parallel and perpendicular lines, right? So we're going to go a little deeper into lines, equations of lines. Do you guys realize that your first quarter of the year in this class is over on Wednesday, and all your classes is over on Wednesday? This Wednesday is the equivalent of your first 9 weeks report card from last year. This Wednesday, you will be 1/4 of the way done with this class. That's what I meant. Say again? No, just 1/4. You have 4 fall terms. Fall term 1 ends 9/23. I didn't hear you. No, you're 1/4 of the way through. I really don't know if they'll ever go back to, 7 periods in a day. They typically don't change back, do they? I know, they went back. Well, there was other schools there was a couple other schools in the county, I think Titusville and Space Coast. There may have been a few more that were already on block scheduling anyway. They just chose to do it, and that's what they do. Obviously we were on regular, so I don't know what'll happen next year. My gut feeling is that we'll stay on block. But, yes, sir. Yeah. It gives you guys the opportunity to take an extra class each year. Yeah, we used to have anchor hour last year. They might survey you and then just do whatever they want to do anyway. That way you could feel like you had an input, but you really don't. I read Bobby Bowden's book, and he always said that everyone on his coaching staff, you guys probably don't know who Bobby Bowden is, do you? Legendary football coach at Florida State, won tons of games, is probably in the College Football Hall of Fame, one of the best coaches of all time. He wrote a book, and he said in his book that I give all of the coaches on my staff a fair say in every decision that we make. He said, I have 14 coaches on my staff. He said, and when there's an important decision to make, we sit down and we vote on it, and everybody on my staff gets 1 vote. But I get 15 votes. But everybody has a fair chance. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So they can survey everybody, but they just do it. I would think they just do what they want anyway. They know what's best for you. Did you test this morning? Oh, yeah. Tested this morning, yeah. And you tested Friday, right? Yeah. So each of your class periods this year is equivalent to 2 class periods in a regular year. Agreed? We all figured that out by now. So you guys are going to test again tomorrow morning, right? So that's 2 class periods yesterday. 2 class periods tomorrow morning. 2 this morning. You spent 2 on Friday, map testing, and the rest of you you already spent 2 map testing. So you've missed the equivalent of 8 classroom days in the first 9 weeks because of testing. Yeah, but yeah, that's 8 class periods. Okay, here we go. Little geometry, slope-intercept form. I hope you've heard this a lot in your careers. Slope-intercept form. That's your old y equals mx plus b, correct? What does the m represent? Somebody say slope. Good. And what does the b represent? Very good, the y-intercept. That's where the line hits the y-axis. Agreed? Okay. Point slope form. Point slope form looks like this. Y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. An example of an equation in point slope form with slope equal to 3 and a point -4, 6. Would look like this. All right, look at the equation. Look at the point slope form equation. It says y minus your y sub 1 equals m times x minus your x sub 1. So if there's a point on the line, -4, 6, here's how you would write an equation in point slope form. You write the letter y, and then you write the opposite of the y value given. So you would write y minus 6 equals the slope, which is 3, left parenthesis the letter x. No, we're using this slope right here. X, and then the point slope form, it's x and the opposite of the x value given. And the x value given is -4. So we go +4. Everybody good with that? It's y and the opposite of a y value of a point equals the slope times x and the opposite value of an x at a point that's on the line. Everybody all right with that? Good, good. All right, so next what we're going to do is write an equation in slope-intercept form of a line with slope 3 and y-intercept of -2. Graph the line. All right, so slope intercept form, that's y equals mx plus b. So we write y equals the slope, which is 3, the letter x, and then the y-intercept. And here's the y-intercept, -2. There's your equation in slope-intercept form. And now, when you graph this line, it's just this simple, guys. We're going to do our xy axis. We're going to put a point on -2 on the y-axis. That's where the line hits the y-axis. Now our slope is 3. And 3 is the same as 3 over 1. And slope is the same as rise over run. Right? We talked about it last week. If a line has a positive slope, then it goes up and to the right. So from this y-intercept, we're going to rise 3. So we're going to rise 1, 2, 3, and we're going to run 1 to the right. And that's the second point on our line. And then we're going to rise 1, 2, 3, and run 1 more to the right. And there's the second point on our line. And then we're going to play connect the dots. So we're going to go here and put an arrow, and we're going to go down through this y-intercept, and we're going to put another arrow. That's a pretty straight line, if I do say so myself. So there's the equation in slope-intercept form. And there's the line graphed. Any questions on writing an equation in slope-intercept form? Now, what if they didn't give you the slope and they only gave you 2 points? Never mind, we're going to do that in a minute. Okay, so let's do this. Now we're going to write an equation in point-slope form. With slope -3/4. That contains -2/5. Then graph. So our point slope form, all right, again, that's y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. The -2 is your x sub 1, and the 5 is your y sub 1. Just remember, when you're writing in point slope form, it's y, and then the opposite of your y value at the point that's on the line. So what goes here next to the y? -5 equals, what's the slope? -3/4, left parenthesis and the letter x. And what goes to the right of that x? +2. Very good. So then we're going to graph it. Here's your XY axis. Our point that's on the graph, or I'm sorry, our point that's on the line is at -2, 5. So here's our point that's on the line. Our rise is 3 and our run is 4, but what direction are we going to run? We're going to run left. Why are we going to run to the left? Because the slope's negative. So I'm going to rise 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to run 1, 2, 3, 4, put another point. And now since I'm running out of room, the equivalent of rising and running to the left is to go down 2, 3, and to the right 1, 2, 3, 4. Agreed? Up and to the left or down and to the right will both give us a line that goes up and to the left. So now we can just put a line through these points. And here's your equation in point slope form, and here is your line on the coordinate plane. Y'all good with that? Callie? Yeah. Addie? Everybody good with that? Is that a yes? Intercept form, or an equation of point slope form, or an equation of slope intercept form for each line shown. Ooh. Now, let's look at got a few more examples here to show you. Now we're going to write an equation. In slope-intercept form. Of a line that contains 0, 3, -2, -1. So when we write an equation in slope-intercept form, we need the slope and we need the intercept. Now, if we write an equation in point-slope form, that's what we're going to do first here. We're going to find the slope of this line, first of all. It's not given. We're going to find the slope of this line. We're going to write an equation in point-slope form. And then we're going to do the distributive property and solve for y, and the equation will be in slope-intercept form. So here's what we're going to do first. We're going to label our points. Here's our x1, y1, and our x2 and y2. We're going to find the slope of this line. Slope of this line is going to be equal to -1 minus 3 divided by -2 minus 0. And -1 minus 3 is -4. -2 minus 0 is -2. And -4 divided by -2 is +2. So now, we've got the slope. M equals 2. We're now going to use this point, and we're going to write an equation in point-slope form. So we got the letter y, and what goes next? Point-slope form, what goes next? We're using the yellow point, so don't we go the opposite of the y value? Okay, you can use either point, but I don't want to deal with the 0, so we're going to just use this point on the right. Okay, so we're going to go y plus 1 equals 2, which is the slope, times x, and the opposite of the x value, which is +2. Everybody good with that? So look, we're in point-slope form. If you've got a line in point-slope form, and you distribute this slope, we would have y plus 1 equals 2x plus 4. And if we subtract 1 from each side, then y equals 2x plus 3. And there's our line in slope-intercept form. And sometimes it's just easier to, if you're not given the y-intercept and the slope, write an equation in point-slope form. You may have to find the slope first. Write an equation in point-slope form, distribute the slope, and then solve for y. And that'll give you the equation in slope-intercept form. You guys okay with that? Yes? Okay. All right, then I've got some practice problems to give you today out of your workbook. So, on page 37, (1 through 8), then 15 through 18. And on page 38, (1 through 7), (16) and 17. And then when you're done with all of those problems, please check focus for homework. Say again. 1 through 8 and 15 through 18. Okay. Are there any questions from anybody that's attending the Zoom meeting? Any questions from the Zoom meeting?
No.
No.
Well, I'm having a hard time hearing you guys today. Okay, if there's no questions from the Zoom meeting, I'm going to close that meeting. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.